What kind of class needs you to go out at night and come back home smelling like perfume that isn't yours? That is Abigail, my wife. There she was, in the arms of another man. They were tangled together, like they belonged to each other. She gasped when she saw me. The man scrambled up, grabbed his clothes, and bolted past me like I was invisible. I didn't yell. I didn't hit anything. I stood frozen, like I was outside my own body, watching a scene I couldn't rewrite. Before I continue, let me pause for a while and appreciate you all that have been so dedicated to this channel. You all have been so amazing and I am really grateful. Your countless support will never go unnoticed. Your comments, likes are very important to this channel. If this is your first time here, welcome to this family and subscribe for more beautiful stories. Now let me take you through the deepest part of this emotional, heartbreaking, and betrayal story. They say love should grow over time. But sometimes, it drifts quietly, like a boat coming unanchored, and you don't notice until you're too far from shore. My name's Jerry, and I've always lived a simple life in Dallas, Texas. I married Abigail 6 years ago. She was bright, bold, full of fire. She walked into a room like she owned it. Me? I'm quiet. I like routines, black coffee, and sleeping in my old college hoodie. Where I saw comfort in structure, Abigail saw boredom creeping in. In the beginning, our marriage was warm and new. We laughed, made love often, and spent hours just talking. But like most long-term couples, life started getting in the way: work, stress, errands. And slowly, our bedroom became more about sleep than intimacy. I didn't think much of it. I thought we were fine. Until one night, lying in bed after watching some show she didn't even seem to enjoy, Abigail turned to me with a serious look. "Jerry," she said, "don't you think we need to try something different?" I squinted. "Different how?" "You mean a vacation or something?" "No," she sighed. "I mean us. I want a new style. Something more exciting." I blinked. I wasn't expecting that. We hadn't had a conversation like that in years. I sat up. "Are you unhappy?" She shrugged. "Not unhappy. Just unfulfilled." Those words hit me hard. I thought I was doing okay. I never cheated. I worked hard. I held her at night. But maybe I got too comfortable. Too predictable. I scratched the back of my head. "Okay. What do you have in mind?" She hesitated. "There are these classes people take now, to learn new techniques. Some are in person. Some online. I want to explore more. Learn more." My chest tightened. "You want to take such classes?" "I want to feel alive again, Jerry. I want us to feel alive." I nodded slowly, unsure how to feel. It wasn't wrong to want more, but it felt like she'd already made up her mind. Over the next few weeks, Abigail started going out more. She said she was attending workshops. At first, I tried to be supportive. But the changes were impossible to ignore. She started dressing differently, tighter clothes, bold lipstick she never wore before. She kept her phone on silent and always face down. Some nights she came home smelling like strange cologne. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off with a laugh and said, "It's just a perfume I tried at the mall." But I wasn't stupid. I just didn't want to admit the truth. One night, as she stepped out in high heels and a red dress that hugged her like a second skin, I asked, "Where are you really going, Abby?" "To a late networking event," she said. "Work stuff." I gave a stiff nod. "All right. Be safe." She looked at me for a long moment. "Are you okay, Jerry?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to scream, "Why aren't we enough anymore?" But instead, I smiled weakly. "Yeah. I'm good." Because that's what I'd always done, kept my feelings buried, hoping they'd disappear. But they didn't. They grew. I started losing sleep. I'd lie awake wondering where she was, who she was with, and what kind of styles she was learning. My thoughts tormented me, but my silence was worse. I didn't want to confront her because part of me feared what I'd find. And maybe, just maybe, I thought she'd come back. That whatever curiosity was pulling her away would fade. But curiosity, left unchecked, becomes something else. Distance. And that's where we were now, two people in the same house, but miles apart. I didn't know her anymore. I wasn't sure she knew me either. Still, I waited. Waited for her to turn back around. Waited for the woman I married to remember the man who never stopped loving her. But what I didn't know was that the storm wasn't coming. It was already here. You always think you'll know when something is wrong. That you'll sense the shift before the ground splits beneath your feet. But the truth is, sometimes betrayal moves quietly, like fog seeping under a door. You only feel it once it surrounds you. It had been about 3 months since Abigail told me she wanted to learn new styles. Since then, our marriage had turned into a polite routine of hellos, good nights, and cold dinners. I kept trying, buying flowers, cooking once in a while, even dressing better. But nothing reached her. She was always distracted. Always somewhere else. Then came that Tuesday. It started like any other. I finished work early and decided to surprise Abigail with her favorite takeout and a bottle of rosé. I even picked up a small bouquet of white tulips, her favorite, though she hadn't mentioned them in a long time. I thought maybe this would soften her again. Maybe it would remind her of who we were. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something strange. There was a car I didn't recognize parked 2 houses down. A black SUV. The windows were tinted, the engine still warm. I had a weird feeling about it, but I told myself to stop overthinking. I stepped inside. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Abigail? I called. No response. I set the food down and started walking toward the stairs, and then I heard it, a voice. A man's voice. Muffled. Laughing. Then hers. Soft, flirtatious. Like the version of her I hadn't heard in months. I froze. I wanted to be wrong. Maybe it was a movie, a podcast, something. But something in my gut screamed otherwise. I took a deep breath and climbed the stairs, heart pounding like a war drum. As I got closer to the bedroom, the laughter turned into soft something different that I couldn't figure out. And that was when everything inside me cracked. I pushed the door open. And there they were. Abigail. My wife. Twisted in the arms of another man. For a moment, I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. It felt like I was watching a stranger's life fall apart, not mine. The guy jumped up, eyes wide, grabbing for his clothes. Man, I didn't know. Don't talk to me, I said, my voice calm but shaking with rage. He scurried out like a rat, leaving his belt behind. Abigail stood there, frozen, the sheet clutched around her. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I stared at her. This wasn't just betrayal. This was the murder of everything we built. How long? I asked. She wiped a tear away. Jerry, please. How long, Abigail? She hesitated. A few weeks. I sat on the edge of the bed, our bed. So this was your class? This was you learning a new style. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. At first, it was just lessons. Then he understood things you didn't. He made me feel alive again. I felt like I was choking. So instead of trying to grow with me, you practiced on someone else? You trained with another man like I was your homework. She sobbed into her hands. I was tired of asking. I thought if I figured it out there, I could come back better, for us. No, I said, standing up. You didn't do this for us. You did it for yourself. You wanted thrills, Abigail. And now you've killed trust. You can't fix what you stabbed. I left the room. She called after me, her voice cracking, but I kept walking. That night, I didn't go home. I parked 2 blocks away and sat there for hours. At some point, I fell asleep in the car, tulips still in the passenger seat, untouched. Like the love I brought home too late. The next day, she texted over and over. Apologies. Promises. Please. But nothing she wrote could undo what I saw with my own eyes. Some lines, once crossed, leave scars that never fade. And I was beginning to accept that I might never be the same man again. In the days that followed, the world kept turning, but mine felt like it had come to a full stop. I went through the motions, shaving, eating, showing up to work, but inside, I was empty. A ghost walking in daylight. Abigail moved in with her sister temporarily. At least, that's what she told me through a single, cautious text. I'm giving you space. But I still love you. Love? I couldn't even remember what that word meant anymore. She loved me, but stripped in front of another man in the bed where we once whispered our dreams. She loved me, but came home late reeking of lies. For a long time, I stayed silent. I didn't respond. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just thought. I thought about every time I overlooked the distance between us, convincing myself it was normal. I thought about the nights I rolled over to her back turned toward me, telling myself she was just tired. I thought about all the ways I tried to be enough without ever asking myself if she was enough for me anymore. Then one night, about 2 weeks later, I came home to find her sitting on the porch. Hands folded. Looking worn down, yet still beautiful in a way that hurt me now. I stood there, not ready to invite her in, not into the house, not into my heart. Jerry, she said softly. I didn't respond. I know I can't undo it. What I did? It was selfish, and it broke everything we built. But I'm here now because I need to tell you the truth. All of it. I folded my arms. Go ahead. She looked down. I wasn't just bored. I was angry. Angry that I had to ask for passion. Angry that you never once thought of learning for me. That you were content, even when I wasn't. And that justifies cheating. I asked. No, she said quickly. Nothing does. I just wanted to feel chosen again. I didn't think I'd lose everything in the process. We sat in silence for a while. Then I asked the question that had been burning in my chest since the day I caught her. Was it worth it? Tears filled her eyes. No. Not for a second. I believed her. But that didn't mean anything would go back to how it was. She stood up slowly. I don't expect you to forgive me now. Maybe not ever. But I wanted you to hear it from me. I wanted you to know I'm not proud. I lost a good man. She left quietly after that. And I went inside. Alone. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I did something better. I wrote a list. Not of what I had lost, but of what I had learned. 1. You can love someone deeply and still be betrayed. 2. Silence doesn't mean peace, it can mean fear. 3. Growing together requires effort, not assumptions. 4. Your self-worth is not tied to someone else's mistakes. 5. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll heal. Maybe she will too. Maybe we'll come back together one day with different hearts, or maybe we won't. But I do know this, I will never ignore my voice again. I will speak up. I will ask, explore, and connect, not just to avoid loss, but to honor love if it ever finds me again. Because silence taught me what chaos never could. That truth, no matter how painful, is better than a quiet lie. And maybe, just maybe, that lesson is the new style I needed all along. If you find this story interesting and relatable, subscribe and hit on notifications. Your comments and likes are highly important for the growth of this channel. Thank you for watching. See you on my next video.